The Night of Power, a message in the desert. In 610 CE, in a silent cave on Mount Hira near Mecca, Muhammad sought solitude from his society. One night, an overwhelming presence filled the cave, commanding him, "Recite." Terrified, Muhammad replied, "I cannot recite." But the command came again, and words began to flow. These became the first verses of the Quran. This moment, known as the Night of Power, marked the birth of Islam. The message was radical. One God, Allah, closer than one's own vein. Muhammad was chosen as a messenger to guide his people from ignorance to faith. The revelation called for justice, care for the vulnerable, and equality before God. It challenged Meccan society's greed and tribal divisions. Muhammad returned home shaken, but his wife Khadija believed him, becoming the first Muslim. Her support anchored his mission. Over the next 23 years, more revelations would form the Quran, Islam's holy book. Muslims believe these are the literal words of God, a guide for life. From a single night in a desert cave, a movement began that would reshape the world. Islam's story is one of a profound encounter that grew into a global faith. Arabia before the dawn, a world of tribes and idols. 7th century Arabia was a land of harsh deserts and tribal loyalties. Identity and honor depended on one's tribe, and feuds could last generations. Mecca, the religious center, housed the Kaaba, filled with idols worshipped by every tribe. The Quraysh tribe controlled Mecca, gaining wealth from trade and pilgrimage. While Jews and Christians lived in Arabia, polytheism and superstition dominated. Mecca thrived as a trade hub, but prosperity deepened social divides. The rich grew richer, while the poor, orphans, and widows were neglected. Old values of caring for the weak faded, replaced by materialism. Muhammad's message challenged this order: one God, one community, and justice for all. Islam called for loyalty to God over tribe, and for tearing down idols, both physical and spiritual. It demanded the wealthy care for the poor and justice guide society. The rise of Islam was a spiritual awakening and a social revolution. It sought to unite a fractured society under a new moral vision. This was the world Muhammad set out to transform. The Trustworthy One, Muhammad's early mission in Mecca. Before prophethood, Muhammad was known as Al-Amin, the Trustworthy, respected for his honesty. Orphaned young, he was raised by his uncle and worked as a merchant. When he began preaching one God, his first followers were his wife Khadija, cousin Ali, friend Abu Bakr, and freed slave Zayd. For 3 years, the message spread quietly among all classes. As the community grew, Muhammad preached publicly, threatening Mecca's elite. His call for equality and justice challenged the city's power structure. The Quraysh responded with ridicule and persecution. Early Muslims, especially the poor and enslaved, faced brutal torture, but held firm. Muhammad was protected by his uncle Abu Talib, who, though not a Muslim, upheld tribal loyalty. 13 years of struggle in Mecca forged a resilient, committed community. Their faith was tested, but their unity grew stronger. This period laid the foundation for Islam's future. The Hijra, a journey that forged a nation. In 622 CE, persecution forced Muhammad and his followers to leave Mecca for Yathrib, later called Medina. Invited as a peacemaker, Muhammad's migration, the Hijra, marked the start of the Islamic calendar. The journey was dangerous, but their arrival in Medina was celebrated. In Medina, Muhammad became both spiritual and political leader. He drafted the Constitution of Medina, uniting Muslims, Jews, and others as one community, Ummah. Old tribal bonds were replaced by shared faith and civic responsibility. The first mosque became a center for worship, justice, and learning. Laws for prayer, charity, and social justice were established. Medina became a model for Islamic society, where faith shaped daily life. The Hijra transformed Islam from a persecuted faith to a self-governing community. This new society would inspire future Islamic states. From Medina, Islam began its global journey. After Muhammad's death in 632 CE, the Muslim community faced a leadership crisis. Abu Bakr, Muhammad's close friend, became the first caliph, uniting Arabia and stabilizing the new state. Under Umar ibn al-Khattab, Muslim armies expanded rapidly, defeating the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. Syria, Palestine, Egypt, and Persia fell to Muslim rule, transforming the region. Uthman ibn Affan, the third caliph, standardized the Quran, preserving unity across the growing empire. Ali ibn Abi Talib's rule saw internal conflict and the first Sunni-Shia split. Despite turmoil, this era established the caliphate's authority and expanded Islam from Arabia to North Africa and Central Asia. The Rashidun Caliphs' simple, just leadership became a golden age in Muslim memory. Their actions shaped the political and religious foundations of Islam. The empire's rapid growth set the stage for a global civilization. The unity and justice of this period remain a model for Muslims today. After the Rashidun era, Islam expanded under the Umayyads and Abbasids. The Umayyads moved the capital to Damascus, stretching the empire from Spain to India. In 711, Muslim forces crossed into Spain, while armies reached the Indus Valley in the east. The Abbasids built Baghdad into a center of science and culture. But Islam's spread wasn't just by conquest. Merchants, missionaries, and scholars played a bigger role. Muslim traders carried faith along trade routes to Africa, India, Southeast Asia, and China. Their honesty and the faith's simple message won converts peacefully. Sufi mystics adapted Islam to local cultures, spreading it through devotion and service. They set up schools, cared for the poor, and blended Islamic teachings with local traditions. This approach created a diverse, interconnected world, the Dar al-Islam. From Spain to Indonesia, a shared faith united people across cultures. Islam's expansion was a tapestry of cultures woven together by a universal message. The spread of Islam is best seen through real lives. Mansa Musa, Mali's emperor, made a legendary pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, displaying West Africa's wealth and piety. His generosity in Cairo affected gold prices for years, putting Mali on the world map. In the 1400s, Chinese Muslim Admiral Zheng He led vast fleets across the Indian Ocean, connecting China's Muslims with the wider Islamic world. Sufi missionaries like the Wali Songo spread Islam in Indonesia through art, music, and community leadership. They blended Islamic teachings with local culture, making the faith accessible. Their gentle approach helped Indonesia become the world's largest Muslim-majority country. Islam's spread was not uniform. It traveled with kings, admirals, and humble mystics. Each story added a unique thread to Islamic history. The faith grew through personal journeys and cultural exchange, not just conquest. These stories show Islam's global reach and adaptability. From Africa to Asia, Islam thrived through the actions of inspired individuals. Islam's long-term spread was often peaceful, guided by the Quranic principle. There is no compulsion in religion. Conquered peoples could convert, keep their faith, and pay a tax, or resist. Jews and Christians often chose to pay the jizya and practice freely. This tolerance allowed diverse communities to thrive under Muslim rule. Conversion was gradual, driven by Islam's simplicity, justice, and social benefits. Trade and intermarriage were key engines of peaceful conversion. Muslim merchants brought faith to Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. Local rulers often converted first, followed by their people. Intermarriage created new Muslim communities that grew over generations. Islam arrived in China early, spreading through trade, not conquest. The Hui people, descendants of Muslim traders and Chinese, formed a unique community. Islam's global reach was built on peaceful interaction and adaptation. The faith took root in diverse cultures through voluntary organic growth. Islam's rise sparked a golden age of science, culture, and learning. The Abbasids in Baghdad led a translation movement, preserving and expanding ancient knowledge. Muslim scholars pioneered algebra, medicine, and optics, laying foundations for the Renaissance. Islamic art and architecture blended beauty with spirituality, from Spain's Alhambra to Istanbul's Blue Mosque. Calligraphy became a revered art, decorating mosques and everyday objects. Islamic civilization connected East and West, sharing technologies like papermaking and the compass. The Islamic world was a mosaic of cultures, united by faith and learning. Unity without uniformity was its strength. Shared values brought diverse peoples together, enriching civilization. From a desert cave to a global civilization, Islam's story is one of connection and progress. Its legacy proves that diversity and unity can move the world forward.